Like everyone else, he wanted to be like Mike, but he was the only one to almost pull it off. That's Kobe Bryant, the 13th overall pick in the greatest draft class in NBA history. But more than just great players, 96 saw the entry of revolutionary personalities and icons, those who charted the path of the next 2 decades of pro basketball in the shadow of Michael Jordan's legacy. In 1993, Michael Jordan shocked the world by retiring from basketball. After giving baseball a whirl, Jordan returned in 1995 and his Bulls returned to the top of the NBA by winning the 96 NBA championship. But while Jordan was gone, NBA fans and media started playing a new game. Who would be the next Michael Jordan? The first candidate to get steam was Grant Hill. Hill hit the league in 1994. He was a great player and an exciting high flyer, but calling him the next Jordan was more about his clean, marketable image than his game. What few realized then was the answer to this question was right around the corner. Would he ever be as good as Jordan? That remained to be seen. But even as a high schooler, he looked just like Michael Jordan. Not a physical resemblance, but his game was clearly honed by studying Jordan. His moves were Mike's, his mannerisms were Mike's, and he had an intensity that was remarkably similar to the greatest competitor the game had seen. He was Kobe Bryant. In some ways, the Jordan comparisons proved damning, as no one could live up to that standard. But the NBA was full of guys who wanted to be like Mike. Only one was able to do so in a way that merited bringing up his name in the same sentence as Jordan. Fans grew up with Kobe in a way they had never done with another superstar. His place on a glamour franchise made him a permanent fixture of the news. His triumphs and failures were beamed into homes, creating an unbreakable relationship with his most ardent fans. In the most endearing ways, he belonged to so many people, a champion on the court and in the hearts of millions.
Kobe, you're my favorite player.
Kobe is probably the heart of LA.
If this wasn't clear before, the response to the helicopter crash that claimed the lives of Bryant, his daughter Gianna, and 7 others showed the world how beloved he was. By then, his legacy had gone past the limits of the NBA. He was a megastar in China, where his track record as a 5-time champion put him on a different level than even LeBron James or Yao Ming. He also became America's most famous girl dad, his relationship as father and basketball mentor to Gigi serving as inspiration for men and their daughters around the world.
I suppose that the only small source of comfort for me is knowing that he died doing what he loved the most, being a dad, being a girl dad.
And to Diana Taurasi, Sabrina Ionescu, and the women's basketball world at large, he was a vocal supporter. Be like Kobe doesn't rhyme, but for a generation of players, Kobe became what Jordan was for him. So many players, from James Harden to Russell Westbrook to Kyrie Irving, point to Kobe Bryant as their greatest influence. That he wasn't Michael Jordan didn't matter to them because he was Kobe. There's a mythology that surrounds Kobe, but some things cannot be obscured. Even in this celebration of Kobe, even after he's gone, we can't ignore the allegation of sexual assault levied against him in 2003. Bryant ultimately released an apologetic public statement where he accepted responsibility for what happened in Eagle, Colorado. It is a part of his legacy whether you want to think about it or not. Kobe Bryant was the son of Joe Jellybean Bryant, an 8-year NBA veteran who played another 8 years overseas. While Joe played for the Sixers, Kobe was born August 23, 1978 in Philadelphia, his father's hometown. Kobe spent much of his childhood in Italy, spending summers in the States before the family came back to America when Kobe was 13. He would become the best high school player in America, and he did so 1 year after Kevin Garnett shook the basketball world by skipping college and going straight to the NBA from high school.
Well, Kobe Bryant can seemingly do just about anything, and that is why every college coach in the country would love to have him next year. The million-dollar question is, will he even play college ball?
In 1996, Bryant would do the same, using a phrase that would later be associated with another NBA superstar.
Kobe Bryant, have decided to take my talent to I have decided to skip college and take my talent to the NBA.
The New Jersey Nets were hot on Bryant, but Kobe didn't feel the same. He wanted to play for the Lakers, whose general manager Jerry West was blown away by watching Kobe work out. Bryant and his agent, Arn Tellem, made it clear to the Nets that Kobe would not sign with them, hoping to scare them out of drafting Bryant. It worked, as the Nets took Kerry Kittles. Bryant was selected by the Hornets, but his rights were quickly traded to the Lakers for Vlade Divac.
The golden jersey, baby.
Bryant landed in Los Angeles the same summer as Shaquille O'Neal, who signed with the Lakers as a free agent. In one offseason, the Lakers secured the foundation of the franchise's next 8 years. Now, the road was a bit bumpy. The Lakers struggled to break out of the West, and O'Neal and Bryant struggled to get along.
You can hear them yelling and cussing at each other during the game.
Their talents were prodigious, but their personalities ill-fitting. Bryant was a driven, focused overachiever. Shaq was highly skilled and dominant on the floor, but he was also Shaq.
Shaq. He's the greatest of the universe.
Always wanted to be a team player. Big dog ain't mean, then the house won't get guarded. Period.
How do I classify my relationship with Shaq? We throw punches every day, body slam each other every day.
They were obvious Hall of Fame talents, but through 1999, how they got along merited more attention than their performance on the floor. The drama and chatter would continue, but the basketball? Both the Lakers and Bryant were about to take a leap. You could say Kobe had 3 primes, or one really long one. It begins in the 1999-2000 season, Bryant's 4th and Phil Jackson's 1st in Los Angeles. This was the year Shaquille O'Neal was better than he'd ever been, running away with the MVP as the Lakers ran away with the championship. But it was also a breakout year for Bryant. After starting the season benched with an injured thumb, Bryant averaged 22.5 points, 6.3 rebounds, and 4.9 assists per game, each a career high. The following season, he put up 28.5 points per game in the regular season, then 29.4 points, 7.3 rebounds, and 6.1 assists in the Lakers' second title run. After that, the Shaq and Kobe era ran 3 more seasons, including the 02 title that completed the three-peat.
Congratulations, greatest.
Congratulations, the most dominant.
You take that jersey up, put your own jersey on, man.
About time now?
Yeah.
The next 6 seasons, Kobe averaged at least 26.8 points per game each year. In 05-06, he averaged 35.4, the most in the NBA since Jordan's 37.1 in 86-87. Then Kobe won the scoring title again the following year. But from 04 through 07, the Lakers didn't win a playoff series. Bryant, frustrated by what he felt was an inadequate roster, asked for a trade.
Yeah, I would like to be traded, and as tough as it is to say that, and as tough as it is to come to that conclusion, there's no other alternative.
The Lakers refused. Bryant calmed down, and the Lakers started the 07-08 season strong. On February 1st, the Lakers were 28-16, but probably one player away from contending in the West. That day, they traded for Pau Gasol of the Grizzlies. The Lakers finished the season 57-25, the best record in the West. Kobe averaged 28.3 points, 6.3 rebounds, 5.4 assists, and 1.8 steals per game. And for the first and only time in his career, he was voted most valuable player. The Lakers lost to the Celtics in 6 games in the NBA Finals, but Los Angeles won consecutive titles the next 2 seasons. Over those 2 seasons, Kobe averaged 26.9 points per game, and any question about whether Kobe could win a title without Shaq was answered. Oh, and after that was answered, Kobe put an exclamation point on it.
We know what it means as a team, but what about individually for you?
Just got one more than Shaq.
So you can take that to the bank.
What could be harder than picking just one of these for Kobe? You could go with the air balls in the 97 playoffs, not because he missed, but because the 18-year-old Kobe had the heart to shoot and swore nothing like that would ever happen again. You could go with 62 points in 3 quarters against Dallas in 2005, when all the Mavericks combined had 61. There was the 81-point game in 2006, the highest total in NBA history not scored by Wilt Chamberlain. Oh, and 60 points in his last game.
Mamba out.
There are moments from 5 title runs to choose from, but nothing better defines Kobe than what happened in the 2013 season. The Lakers added Dwight Howard and Steve Nash in the offseason, hoping to push for one more title before Dr. Jerry Buss passed away. After 5 games, head coach Mike Brown was fired and eventually replaced by Mike D'Antoni. The Lakers were shockingly average. On March 28th, the Lakers were 37-36, scraping to make the playoffs. From then on, Bryant carried the Lakers. In the next 7 games, Kobe played 40-plus minutes in each one. 4 times he played 47 or more minutes. With Bryant running the offense, the Lakers won 6 of 7 games, powered as much by Kobe's playmaking as his scoring. There were 14 assists in a win over Sacramento and 47 points in a victory over Portland. 2 nights after beating the Blazers, the Lakers were in a back-and-forth battle with the Warriors. The Lakers were down 6 points with 6 minutes left to play. With 5:05 left, Kobe hit a 3 to bring the margin to 107-104. With 3:45 left, he had another 3 to tie the game.
The Mamba is looking like the Mamba.
Jerry Jack got a bucket for the Warriors the next time down the floor. Then, with 3 minutes and 8 seconds left, taking Harrison Barnes to the left, Bryant crumpled to the floor. He torn his Achilles, a devastating toll for all the work he'd put in for so many years, especially over the previous few weeks. But the defining moment, through that disappointment, through that pain, Bryant got to the free throw line and tied the game by sinking them both. Every player says he'll go until he can't anymore. Kobe Bryant literally did that. And then he made the free throws.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.